It's Johnny. We're going to go through how to assemble this thing. It's all decently milled metal. It's all ready. It just takes putting together, which is real simple. I mean, you open up the box and you see all these parts. You might get a little intimidated, you know, if you're not used to putting things together, but actually there's not that many parts and it's real simple, so I'll go step by step and show you. First thing we're going to grab is this piece right here that's on the very back of it. We're going to put that up here. That's going to be the very first piece we mess with. And then the rack, this bottom rack, shelf, that's going to be the other piece we mess with. And we'll get this unwrapped and ready to go on, and I'll show you. Alright, these are the two together. This is the top of the shelf, and you can tell just because by the way it's textured, it's not going to be like that. That's the bottom side. So there's your top. Here's the front. You can tell which way this goes on there because the only two holes that's going to line up to this are those right there, and it has the bevel for the screw to go in this way. So it's really just a process of elimination. I know the instructions are vague, but if you look at it, it's real simple to figure out. We'll get these two mounted in with the screws, and I'll show you what we got. I should mention, I said how it has that beveled hole for that to go into. It's the third hole down. It's beveled just like this. It's beveled because it has these slanted screws. That slanted head, that beveled head, that's what goes in it. If you have a Phillips screwdriver, just use a short one. You don't need a long handle one. You're out here fighting it. The shortest handled Phillips screwdriver you can get makes it a lot easier because they're fat head screws. Grabs onto them real nice. It works the best for me. So go on to our next step. Our next step is going to be the bottom brackets down below here, and I'll show you what those are. You see how we have these are the two different ones, okay? We need these, the kinds that are about the same length on both sides, not these. These will be up top like the handles up here, up on top. These will be on the bottom. So here's our shelf, just like this, and then these are going to be down here. Okay, that's what we're going to be messing with next. So let me get everything unwrapped and ready. Once again, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, well, it's got two holes. Which one is it? Well, there's only one that's got a real big bevel, and there's only two holes that this lines up with if you put it in there right. Okay, and keep in mind that on these brackets that has these holes, you want these holes up there. Let me check on that. Check on the manual, but I'm pretty sure we want these holes on the bottom. Yeah, on the very bottom down here of the shelf. So here's the top. Down here on the bottom, we'll need these holes sticking down. Okay, so we'll put it on there just like that. And like I said, these are the only two holes that it lines up with. So we'll get these mounted in real quick and see what we got. Okay, the fat screws I showed you a second ago. One of them will go in the side here. This up here takes the longer ones. We only have so many of these, and that's because it has to go through this long bracket and then into this. So that's where we burn one of these at. Most you have to do is just pull these just a little bit to help line them up. They go in real easy. Okay, so we got our bottom ones on with these little holes down on both of these. So here's the front. Right here. This will be against the wall. Here's our top. And here's our bottom. And then here's the little holes down here. Our next step's going to be the top rails up here, which are going to be the two longer ones. And they're going to be just like this. So we'll use two of the fat screws that I showed you. These right here are going to be up here on the top, and then the longer ones like this will be down here on the bottom to go through this long bracket. Let me get this unwrapped and we'll show you that. Do not be intimidated by something as simple as this. I'm putting it together because I've put a lot of things together, and this has got to be one of the most simple things I've ever had to put together. Why? Because these holes line up about perfectly. I haven't really had to stretch anything or pull anything to get anything in. And all this is aluminum, so don't worry about corrosion later, rusting or anything like that. Aluminum's not going to rust on you. It's real easy to clean. I mean, it looks good, so don't worry about any of that either. Okay, finishing up on these top racks. Like I said, they line up good, they tighten up real good. Once you get to it, just kind of snug it. You ain't got to put a whole lot of torque against it. The next thing we are going to mess with is, remember, here's the top. So we're going to look down here on our bottom shelf. We're going to look down here where the shelves come across, and we're going to mess with those next. Okay, I've got it flipped upside down, looking at the bottom. So this is the bottom shelf piece. This is our last piece we have to put together, and it doesn't matter which way it goes. Flip one way or the other. All that you got to remember is this is going to be your top surface, so it's going to have to be like that. These runners here are where your hooks are going to hang and slide for your hanging your stuff, and we'll mess with that in a minute. So let's just get this, and it'll fit in between those two bars, and you'll see the holes line up. Move it to where the holes line up, just like that. We'll get those in and go from there. I should mention, your bottom rack takes the little bitty ones, these little bitty round-headed ones. Okay, here's the bottom shelf. Here's where the screws are going to go in. If you are going to fight with anything on this whole thing put together, it's going to be your last two screws in this, because you're trusting everything was lined up perfectly. So you're going to have to pull this in to line that hole up just right. And it's aluminum. It's got give. I mean, it's going to pull in for you without much effort. But you just got to pull it in to line the holes up. Once you get it lined up, get these screws in, and we'll just go from there. Okay, now that's the only instructions I have on all this, is showing what we've done so far. So here's our top rails. We'll look at the bottom. Here's the straight front view. Here's the bottom plate. The only thing it's not showing is hanging your hooks, which is real simple. It's all self-explanatory. That last thing we put on has these tracks right here, that these fit into those grooves. So whether you want the hook facing forward or backward, probably forward, it's just going to be up to you. You slide these hooks into that track. There's two tracks. There's front and back. So however many hooks you want in the front and the back, you ain't got to worry about this being set in stone. As soon as you get these in here, you can switch it up. Looks like there's 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like there's 10 of them. So you can go 5 on each. Or like I said, if you have a bunch of small things you want in the front and a couple of bigger ones in the back, put more of them on the front, you know. But they slide in pretty easy. They're aluminum also. And then once those are in, there's these little plugs, these little caps. All they do is punch into the ends here, into your opening of your track to seal it up. So you ain't got to worry about the hook sliding straight off the side. So they'll punch in real easy. Take the hind end of your screwdriver if you want to. Tap them in. And like I said, you could change it out, because you can get a flathead screwdriver in here and pop these out and put more hooks in or less. Okay, so there it is, all put together. See the bottom there, how that slides into those tracks. There's our hooks. So there's straight front face view. All aluminum. I mean, you can either leave it raw aluminum. Some people paint aluminum. Some people you can dye it. You get things that you can stain the aluminum with if you'd wanted to. You can mess with it. So, because it's all raw aluminum. There's no plastic coating or anything on it that I can feel. It just feels like all raw aluminum. So now the next thing would just be mounting it to the wall. So when you're looking at this back bracket, here's your mounts right here. Now the only thing you want to keep track of now, the only thing you want to pay attention to is how you're going to mount this to the wall. They do give you these anchors, but if you don't know what you're doing, check with somebody else that does know what they're doing on if these anchors are going to work for what you are anchoring into.